Hello all. So in the last class, we had discussed what is linear fractional transformations or LFTs, right? LFTs will help us to separate out the perturbations from the perturbed plant and represent it as a separate block, okay? So in LFT representation, we have a separate block which represents the perturbation. There is another separate block which indicates the nominal plant. Then we have the controller represented as a separate block. So today we are going to take up few examples, okay? So before we begin, let us just recall what we did in the last class. LFTs. Okay, so what is the standard configuration? Here we would have a block which represents separate block that represents delta, the perturbation. Then there's another block that represents the nominal plant. Then we have a controller block K. Okay, so this plant is connected to the controller, and the signal going to the controller from the plant P is denoted as Y, the measured output, right? And from controller, there's a signal which goes to the plant, and that is called the control input U. Okay. At the same time, there is an input from the plant to the perturbation block, and that is called the regulated output Z. And from the perturbation block, there is an input channel to the nominal plant, and that signal is called exogenous input W. Okay, so this is the standard general LFT configuration, right? Now, this thing we can again further divide this into two. One is called lower LFT, lower linear fractional transformation, and the next one is the upper LFT or upper linear fractional transformation. Okay, so what was LLFT? LLFT was something like this. So in LLFT, you are considering the nominal plant and the controller only. So this is the nominal plant, and here is our controller. Okay, so this thing only we are considering. Okay, so this is Y, this is U, this is W, and this is Z. Okay, so keep in mind, if there was a delta block, then that would have been kept here, okay, as a separate block, right? And then that would have been connected to the nominal plant like this. Okay, so right now we are just considering the lower LFT. So you have to consider only the nominal plant P and controller K. Okay, so what was Z of S from here? We had derived this expression. What was the Z? Z was nothing but lower LFT of P comma K into what? Into W of S. And what was FL of P comma K? We had seen there is nothing but P11 of S plus P12 of S K into I minus K into I minus P22 of S K of S whole inverse into P21 of S. Okay, this was lower linear fractional transformation. So that essentially means what is the transfer function seen by perturbation block, the delta block. Okay, so that is why you are seeing transfer function between Z and W. Okay, what is Z? Z is the input to the output of the plant, which is supposed to go to the input of the perturbation block. Okay, so what will be the transfer function as seen by the perturbation block delta if it was there? That is what is LFT, a lower linear fractional transformation, LLFT. So this is the expression P11 plus P12 of S into K of S into I minus P22 of S K of S whole inverse into P21 of S. Now we will consider LLFT. What ULFT, upper linear fractional transformation. What is that? So in upper linear fractional transformation, we are considering the nominal plant and the perturbation block. Okay, ULFT, upper linear fractional transformation. So here we have the separate block delta, and here we have the nominal plant P. Okay. So this is the measured output Y. This is the control input U. This is the regulated output Z, and this is the exogenous input W. Okay. So here, what are we trying to find? We are trying to find what is the transfer between U and Y. Okay, as seen by the controller. If controller K was put here, okay, what would have been the transfer function y between y and u if there was a controller here. Okay, if there's a controller block k here. Okay, so what does y of s? Y of s was nothing but f u of p comma delta into u of s. Okay, what is fu? Fu of p comma delta, what was that? It is analogous to what it is. Right? Here it is p11. So in upper LFT, it must be p22. P22 of s plus p21 of s. So instead of k of s, we have delta of s into I minus, it must be p11 of s, delta of s, whole inverse p12 of s. Okay, so this is the transformation seen. This would have been the transformation as seen by the controller block. Okay, now let's go into the examples. So first example. Suppose we are given a block diagram of this kind. Okay, so R of S is the reference input, C is the controller, this is the negative feedback. Then there is an input disturbance to the plant, Di of S. Okay, C means C of S. Okay, it is understood. G means G of S. Again, that's an output disturbance at the plant. So that let me call that as D of S. And this is N of S. Okay, both are at positive polarity. Right. So keep in mind, what is our LFT? Our LFT is something like this. This is our nominal plant P. Okay, and here is our K. Okay, sorry, arrow is like this, right? Okay, so this is the measured output Y. This was the control input U. Okay, and here we would have the exogenous input W. This would have been the regulated output Z. Okay, so we need to convert this block diagram into this configuration. So also, what was the output input relationships here? Is that Y would have been what? P11, P12 of S. Okay, all are functions of S only. P11 of S, P12 of S, P21 of S, P22 of S. Into what? Into W of S, Y of S, U of S. Okay, so we want to identify what is Z, what is Y, what are these subsystems. Okay, so what we have to do first? First, we have to cut open the controller part. What's the controller here? It is G of S. By the way, what is G of S? G of S is the nominal plant. Okay, G of S is the nominal plant. C of S is the controller. Okay, so here right now there is no perturbation delta here. Okay, you have only the controller, you have the plant. So that is why we are considering LLFT, lower linear fractional transformation. Had there been a delta block here, you should have considered the delta block also. Okay, a question can come, why we are considering LLFT, why not ULFT? If you remember, in ULFT, there's a delta block. Okay, whereas in LLFT, we have a controller gain block. Fine. So G of S represents the nominal plant. C of S is the controller. That is why we are considering lower linear fractional transformation. Okay. So as I said before, you cut open the controller. So you see here, what is the signal Y bar here? That is the input to the controller block K. So what will be the measured output Y in this block diagram? It must be the input to the controller block. So this is my Y. Okay. Now, what is U? U must be the output from the controller block. So that means this signal must be U. Okay. Now you cut open the controller block. So this is R of S. Here is the Y. Okay. Plus minus. Other things will remain the same. We are just cutting cutting the controller, removing it out. This is the I of S. Here we have the nominal plant G of S. Fine. And here is the output disturbance D of S plus plus. This is plus plus. Here is the feedback. This is the noise N plus plus. Fine. So this signal is U bar. Right? Now the question is, what is W of S here? What is W of S? W bar means what? Let us identify these signals first. Okay. What is W bar? W bar is the exogenous input to the plant. Okay. So what are the exogenous inputs here? One is the reference input R of S. Okay. So my vector W bar will be what? R of S. My vector W bar will be R of S. Then di of S is another external input. So di of S. Then we have the plant output disturbance D of S. That is the next exogenous input, and the last exogenous input to the system is the noise N of S. Okay, so this is my W bar. Right now, let us write. Now, what is Z? Z is the regulated output. Okay, what is the regulated output here? Any idea? What do you mean by regulated output? Regulated output means the output which is coming from the plant. Okay, the output which is coming from the plant, which is supposed to go to the perturbation block. Okay, so here this signal, which will be the regulated output here, output coming from the plant, it is this signal Z bar. Okay, so now we have to write an expression for Z bar and Y bar. Okay, so looking into this figure, so this is my Z bar. What is Z bar? Tell me. Z bar is nothing but D of S plus signal at this point. What is signal at this point? G of S into U minus di of S. Okay, this is plus only, huh? What is polarity? Plus, right? So G into di plus U. Okay, what is Z? Z is signal at this point. What is signal at this point? D of S plus signal at this point. What is signal at this point? G of S into di of S plus U. So I can write Z bar as D of S plus G of S into what? Di of S plus U of S. U of S. Okay. So if you expand this, what do you get? D of S plus G of S di of S plus G of S U bar of S. Okay. So Z expression we have written. Z is done. Now what next? Y. Okay. Now what is Y? Y means which signal? Y means this signal. Okay, because you see what is Y bar? Y bar is signal to the controller K. Okay, so this was the here would have been our controller, and this is the input to the controller K. Okay, so what is Y bar? Signal at this point. What signal at this point? R of S minus signal at this point. Okay, so R of S minus what is signal at this point? N of S plus signal at this point plus Z bar. What is Z bar? D of S plus this thing. Okay, so I can write this as so this becomes what? R of S minus N of S minus D of S minus G of S di of S minus G of S U of S. Okay, now this can be represented in a matrix form. Okay, so let us rearrange. So what did you get? So this is our. Okay, so instead of Z bar, let us put a Y, Z and a Y only. Huh? Don't get confused. Let me correct that. Huh? This is Y and Z. Okay, let us stick on to this convention. Z bar, Y bar, W bar, and U bar are the standard signals in the standard LFT form. Okay, so let this be simply Y. This is U, this is Z. Okay, so this is Y, this is U, this is Z. Okay, so now let me put these things in matrix form. So Z of S, Y of S. Okay, must be equal to something into what are the inputs? R of S. Okay, what are the inputs? Inputs are this thing, W and W and U. Okay, W and U are the inputs. So W is R of S, di of S, D of S, N of S, and then we have U of S. Okay, now it's just in arranging only. So what will you get? First term corresponds to 0. There is no R of s term in Z of s, right? Then dA of s, we have a G of s term. Then D of s term, there is one. It is not one, it should be I, the identity matrix, okay? Because this is a MIMO system, multi-input, multi-output system. So it should be I. Then what is N? There is no term, 0. Okay. Then correspond to U, we have G of s. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? What about the second term? Correspond to R of s, we have I. To dA of s, we have a corresponding term minus G of s. Then D term, we have corresponding minus I. Then N of s term, we have minus I. Then U of s term, again, we have minus G of s. Okay. Now, if you compare this with the standard form, what is the standard form? Z bar, Y bar equals P11, P12, P21, P22 into W U. Okay. So tell me, what is Z bar? Z bar is this thing. This corresponds to Z bar. What is Y bar? Y bar is this output signal. What is W bar? W bar is this thing, the exogenous input. And U bar corresponds to this U of a signal. Okay. What's P11? P11 will be. So how can you partition this matrix? See, what is P11? P11 would have been the transfer function between Z and W. Okay. Keep in mind, we are discussing linear time invariant LTI systems, linear systems. Okay. What's the linear system? One which satisfies both superposition and homogeneity property. Okay. So as per superposition principle, you can apply one input at a time, get the individual outputs, and finally you can add it up so that you have the overall output. Okay. So P11 is nothing but Z by W, provided U is equal to 0. Similarly, P12 is Z by U when W is equal to 0. What is P21? Y by W when U equal to 0. And P22 is nothing but Y by U when W is equal to 0. Okay. So that means you can partition like this. Okay. So what is my subsystem P11? Tell me. It is nothing but 0, G of s, I, 0. What is P12? It is G of s. What is P21? P21 is this thing. And what is P22? P22 is minus G of s. Okay. So in this way, we can bring the system into the lower LFT form. Okay. So how can we represent this in LFT form? This is my plant. Nominal plant. Okay. I can write like this: 0, G of s, I, 0, G of s, I, minus G of s, minus I, minus I, minus G of s. Okay. So here is our controller Q. Fine. So this signal is the measured output Y, and this is the control input U. So this will be my exogenous input W. This is the regulated output Z. Okay. This has been represented in this standard form. Okay. So this given block diagram has been converted into the standard configuration. Am I clear? Is that okay? Fine. Let us go to example 2. You are given another block diagram like this. Okay. This is C controller. C means C of S. Okay, don't forget. C means C of S. Okay. That's the summing point. Here we have a nominal plant G of S. Okay. And here W2. What is W2? W2 is called weighting function. Okay. That we will see more of that later, not now. Then there's a feedback path. There's a noise N through a transfer function F. This is minus. So here we have another weighting function W1. This is U. Plus. Okay. So this again, we need to convert it into standard LFT. How to do that? Okay. So as I said before, what we have to do? We have to cut open the controller, right? C is the controller here. G is the nominal plant. W1 and W2 are waiting transfer functions, and F represents the sensor feedback sensor transfer function. Okay. So as I said before, what's this procedure? Cut open the controller part. Okay. So what will you get? So this is the summing point. Summing point. Controller is cut open. Here is our next summing point. This is G. This is W2. This is F. Here is our noise N plus plus. This is F. This is minus. So here is our W1 block. Everything else will remain the same. Okay. Only thing is that we are just cutting and the controller block and removing it from the block time. That's all. Nothing else. Okay. Now, what is the standard configuration? This is our nominal plant P. Here we have a controller block K. Okay. This is coming here. This is coming here. So this signal is nothing but Y. This is U. And here we have one exogenous input. Sorry, W and exogenous input. Sorry, regulator output is okay. This is W. Okay. So what is Y? Y should be the signal going to the controller. That means this signal must be the controller signal. Okay. What is U? One coming out of the controller. So that means this signal must be the control input U. Okay. Now we need to identify what are W. What is W? W means what? The exogenous input. Okay. So what are the exogenous input? There is the disturbances there. Oh, and I forgot to mark it. Disturbance there, huh? D. Okay. So W is nothing but D of S and N of S. W of S. Okay. W of S is nothing but the vector of the exogenous inputs. What are the exogenous inputs here? There is no reference input R here. Keep in mind, in the previous example, we had a reference input R, a command signal R of S, right? But in this case, there is no command signal R of S. Okay. So the only two exogenous inputs to the system are the low frequency disturbance D of S and the high frequency noise N of S. Okay. Yeah. So now what is the regulated output Z? What do you mean by Z? Z means the regulated output from the plant. Okay. So what are they? F of S and UF of S. Okay. F of S and UF of S. So Z is F of S and UF of S. These are the two regulated outputs. Fine. Now let us write the equations for this. So what is Z or what is Y? First of all, what is Y? Y is nothing but this signal. What is this signal? Minus F into this signal. Okay. So I can write minus F of S into what is signal at this point? Noise N of S plus signal at this point. What is the signal at this point? G of S into signal at this point. G of S into U plus B. Okay, so that means minus F of S N of S minus F of S G of S into U of S minus F of S G of S into D of S. Okay, this will be the control of the measured output Y. Right? Fine. Now what is F of S? What is F of S? F of S is nothing but W2 into signal at this point. What is signal at this point? G of S into signal at this point. What is signal at this point? D of S plus U of S. U of S. Okay. So I can write F of S as W2 of S into what? G of S into D of S plus U of S. Okay. So this means W2 of S, G of S, D of S plus W2 of S, G of S, U of S. Okay. Yeah. Then what is the next exogenous input? It is UF of S. What is UF of S? UF of S is nothing but W1 into signal at this point. What signal at this point? It is U, because this is a pick off point. Okay. If this signal is U, This signal will be U, this signal will be U. So I can write W1 into U of S. W1 of S into U of S. Okay. So these two signals constitute our regulated output Z of S. Okay. What next? Arrange it in matrix form. That's it. Okay. So let us write it. So first is F of S. Then UF of S. And then we have Y of S equal to something into what? Into Z of S, into W of S. What is W here? Or W means D of S, N of S. Okay. So D of S, N of S. And what is U of S here? U of S is nothing but the signal. Okay. U of S. Fine. So what is F of S in terms of D of S? W2 of S, G of S. What is this F of S in terms of N of S? There is no term, so 0. And there is a term corresponding to U. That means W2 of S, G of S. Then corresponding to U of S, UF of S term, we have a term corresponding to W1 of S. Both remaining two terms are 0 in that row. Then corresponding to Y of S, we have minus F of S, G of S. Then corresponding noise, we have minus F of S. And we have a term minus F of S corresponding to U of S. Okay. So if you compare this with the standard form, is that Y equals P11, P12, P21, P22 into WU. Okay. What is my Z bar? Z bar is this. This is my Z bar. Okay. What is Y bar? Y bar is this. Fine. What is W? W bar is this. And what is U bar? U bar is this. What is P11? P11 is the transaction between Z and W. Okay. Keep in mind Z is a vector. So that means you have to partition in this way. So this is my P11. This is my P12. This is P21. And minus F of S is P22 of S. Okay. So in this way, we can break the given block diagram into the standard linear fractional transformation form. Fine. So if you want to draw in standard form, what you do? So here is this is our P, nominal plan P. Okay, I can write like this. W2 of S, G of S, 0, minus F of S, G of S. 0, 0, minus F of S, W2 of S, G of S, W1 of S, minus F of S. Okay, here we have the controller K. One input is going to controller K, and that is Y. And another input is going to the plant P, that is U. This is exogenous input W. This is the regulated output. Okay, so we had converted this given block diagram into standard LFT form. Okay. Now, as the next example, let us consider an uncertain parameter. Uncertain parameters as LFT. Uncertain parameters as LFT. Why are we going for LFT? Because we need to separate out the perturbation from the perturbed plant. What do you mean by perturbed plant? Perturbations plus the nominal plant model. Okay. From that, the perturbations have to be extracted and separated out as a separate block. That is why we are going for LFT. Okay. So assume that we have a parameter C, which varies between 2 and 2.8. What did I say? Assume that you have a parameter C that can take values between 2 and 2.8. Okay. So this can be represented differently. What's the nominal value here? How will you find the nominal value? Average. 2.0 plus 2.8 divided by 2. That means I can write this as C equal to So what will be the average? It will be 2.4, right? 2.4 plus. So you see 2.4 plus 0.4 will give 2.8 minus 2.4 will give you 2.0. Okay, so I can write this as 2.4 plus 0.4 delta C, where my delta C can take values between -1 and +1. Okay, I can write like this: 2.4 plus 0.4 delta C. Okay. Now this is a perturbed plant. So which LFT you will prepare here? The ULFT. Okay, because in ULFT we have a separate perturbation block. Where is that? Is it not? In ULFT we have a separate perturbation block. Okay. In these two examples, there was only a nominal plant model and the controller. That is why we considered the LLFT. Okay. But in this question, in the present example that we are considering, there is perturbation in the parameter. So you have to consider ULFT, wherein the delta, the perturbation block, perturbation has been represented as a separate block. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So this, so now we need to compare this with the ULFT equation. Okay. What was the ULFT equation? P22 plus P21 delta into I minus P11 delta whole inverse into P12. Okay. So now you just make a one-to-one comparison. What will you get? P22 equal to 2.4 straight away. P22 equals 2.4. Okay. Then what is P21? P21 is 0.4. Is it not? P21 is 0.4. What is P11? That's a question. P11 is, what is P11 if you compare with this expression? What will you get? P11 is 0. Okay. So we will find P11 as 0. And what is P12? P12 is 1. Okay. P12 is 1. Okay. So now that means I can represent this variation within the parameter C as a separate block. Delta C. Okay. And here is my nominal plant model. So what is P11? P11 is 0, P12 is 1, P21 is 0.4, and P22 is 2.4. Okay. So this is connected like this. This is my measured output Y. This is the control input U. This is the external input W, and this is the regulated output. So in this way, we have represented the perturbation within the parameter C as a separate block and separate it out of the plant. Okay. So now we have a separate separate perturbation block delta, the nominal plant P, like this. Okay. Now let us take the example of a system, right? Suppose we have a mass spring damper system. LFT representation of an uncertain mass spring damper system. Mass spring damper system. Okay. So what's the standard differential equation for a mass spring damper system? We know that, right? Mx double dot T plus Cx dot T, where C is my damper, that is the damper constant, okay? Cx dot T plus K is the spring constant, Kx of T, equal to F of T, applied force, right? So M is the mass, C is the damper, K corresponds to the spring constant or spring. Okay. Now assume that there are parametric variations in both, in all the terms, mass, damper, and K, the spring constant. Okay. Parametric uncertainties. Parametric uncertainties. That means their nominal value and the range of possible variations. Are given. Okay. So in mass, it is given like this: m naught into 1 plus 0.5 delta m. Okay. What does this mean? This means that there's a 50% variation in mass m. Okay. What is m naught? M naught is the nominal value. Okay. And delta m is the uncertainty. Similarly, in the damper, there is a 30% variation. So 1 plus 0.3 delta C. And in the spring K, it has a nominal value K naught, and there's a variation of 40% delta K. Okay. So keep in mind, my delta M, delta C, and delta K can take any values between -1 to +1. Okay. So let me write here. This represents 50% uncertainty in mass, 30% uncertainty in the damper, and 40% uncertainty in the spring. Okay. Now let us represent this in state space form. Okay. So from this is equation 1. So what will be x double dot t from this? X double dot t will be nothing but 1 by m naught into what? F of t minus c x dot t minus k x of t. Agreed? Now let us adopt the state space approach. Okay. So we will define, let x equal to, x means x of t. Okay, x of t equal to x1 of t. So what will be x dot t? X dot t will be x1 dot t. That will be the next state variable x2 of t. So x double dot t will be what? Nothing but x2 dot t. Okay, so I can write this in state space form like this: x1 dot t equals x2 of t. x2 dot t equal to what? 1 by m naught into f of t minus c by m naught into x dot. What is x dot? It is x2 of t. So c by m naught, m dot m2 into x2 of t minus k by m naught into x of t. What is x of t? X of t is x1 of t. Okay, x1 of t, right? Oh, not m naught, right? This is m. It's a mistake here, huh? It's m. Okay, because this is the expression, right? This is the expression m by mx double dot plus cx double dot cx dot plus kx equal to f of t. So x double dot will be 1 by m into f of t minus kx of t minus cx dot t. Okay, it is m only, huh? We rub it out. Okay. So what is m? M is the perturbed parameter. Okay, because there is 50% uncertainty in the mass. What is C? C is the perturbed damper. There's 30% uncertainty in the damper constant. And what is K? K is the perturbed spring parameter. Okay, there's 40% perturbation in the spring constant. Okay, so that means, okay, so let us draw the block diagram for this first. Okay, so this is our function, forcing function f of t. Okay, so you see what is x2 dot t? 1 by m into all this sum of the algebraic sum of these segments. Okay, so there should be a summing point here anyway. Okay, then all these things should pass through a block with a gain of 1 by m. Okay, how do I know that? Because on the right hand side of x2 dot equation, all the terms are having an m term in the denominator. Okay, so 1 by m. Then we know, so if this is x2 dot, okay, if you integrate, you will get x2. Again, integrate once more, what would you get? You will get x1. Okay, what is x1? X1 is x of t. What is x dot? X dot is x2. Okay, so this I can write x of t. This is x dot t, and this is x double dot t. Okay, so what is x2 dot t? 1 by m into this signals. Now you see what next. So we have already plugged in the input function term f of t. Okay, that is coming at positive polarity always. Now what next? There should be a signal from x2 at a gain of minus c. Because why not? It is not minus c by m. Already 1 by m term is there. So that will take care of the 1 by m part in the c by m term. Okay, so there should be a signal at what polarity? Negative polarity. From where? From x2 at a gain of c. So this is c. Okay, so that term we are plugging. Now what next? Minus k by m x1 of t. So here again there should be a negative sign to take into account the negativity. Then with a gain of k from x1 of t. Okay, so keep in mind m, c, and k are perturbed planets. Okay, so let us draw in terms of parameter in terms of its variation, parameter variations. Okay, so again, so this is our f of t. This is the summing point. Here is our m. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm just replacing this 1 by m, c, and k with the respective variations in the plant. Okay, that's all. So 1 by what was m? M was m naught into 1 plus 0.5 delta m. M naught into 1 plus 0.5 delta m. Okay, then it should go to an integrator, another integrator. Then this will be our x of t or x1. And this is our x2, which means nothing but x dot. And this is our x double dot t or nothing but x2 dot. Okay, and similarly here there's a signal from x1 at c. So that means this is negative sign. C naught into 1 plus, what is the perturbation? 1 plus 0.3 delta c. Coming from x1. No, coming from x2. Okay, then another negative path with a gain of k naught into 1 plus 0.4 delta k coming from x1. Okay, so there are variations in all these things. Okay, so we have to separate out, we need to pull out the perturbation in mass from the perturbed mass. We need to pull out the perturbation only from the perturbed damper, and we need to separate out the perturbation in the spring from the perturbed spring. How to do that? We have to go for LFT. Okay, so what next? Eventually, the nominal values and the integrators which are known are to be separated from what is unknown. Using LFTs. Okay, so keep in mind we have parameter variation in all the three terms: mass, the damper, and the spring. So that perturbation alone has to be separated out as a separate block and represented in LFT form. Okay, that's what we are going to do. So let us consider LFT for mass m. LFT for mass m. Okay, what was the mass m? What was the mass m equation? It was 1 by m naught into 1 plus 0.5 delta. Okay. So how can we split this into nominal plant and their perturbation? 1 by m naught minus 0.5 delta m divided by m naught into 1 plus 0.5 delta m. How do I get this? Because I know this is my perturbed family, perturbed mass plant. This is my perturbed family. perturbed mass. Okay, 1 by m naught is the nominal mass. So what will be the difference? Subtract this thing from this. Okay, so 1 by m naught. How do you get this? 1 by m naught into 1 plus 0.5 delta m minus 1 by m naught. Just take the LCM and simplify. You will get this to be as 0.5 delta m whole divided by m naught into 1 plus 0.5 delta m. Okay, that is how I am getting like this. Okay. Now, to which LFT will compare this? To LLFT or to ULFT? To ULFT. Okay, because this is the perturbation. So the delta block has to be there. So we need to compare that with the upper linear fracture transformation. So what is the ULFT equation? If you remember, ULFT must be P22 plus P21 delta into I minus P11 delta whole inverse into P12. Okay, so just compare this. So let me rearrange this term. Huh? So this can be rewritten as, this can be rewritten as 1 by m naught minus 0.5 delta m into 1 plus 0.5 delta m inverse. Okay. Yeah. Now you just do a one-to-one comparison. What will you get? P22 corresponds to m naught. Oh, sorry, 1 by m naught. Okay. What is P21? P21 corresponds to into 1 by m naught. Okay. This part we missed actually. So P21 corresponded to what? To 0.5 minus 0.5. Okay. Then what is P11? P11 also corresponds to minus 0.5. And finally, P12 corresponded to 1 by m naught. So that means the perturbed mass can be represented as a ULFT like this. What is P11? Minus 0.5. P12, 1 by m naught. P21, minus 0.5. And P22, 1 by m naught. So this is my mass representation. This is related output is that. This is external input. Okay, so mass we have represented in LFT form, in ULFT form, right? Similarly, now we need to find LFT form for the damper. Okay, ULFT for damper. Okay, what is the K equation? K naught into 1 plus 0.3 delta K. Okay, so expand this. What will you get? K naught plus 0.3 K naught delta K. Okay, K naught plus 0.3 K naught delta K. Right? Now, again, ULFT equation. What is that? P22 plus P21 delta into I minus P11 delta whole inverse into P12. Okay. Again, if you do a one-to-one comparison, you will get what? P22 equals K naught. Fine. P21 equals 0.3. 0.3. Sorry, not for damper is C, right? Damper is C. C naught, huh? Okay, I will rub it down right. C equals C naught. Okay, so this I can write C naught plus 0.3 C naught delta K, C naught delta C. C naught delta C. Okay, so what is P221? P221 is C naught. What is P21? P21 will be 0.3 C naught. What is P11? P11 happens to be 0. Okay, because there is no I minus P11 delta term, whole inverse term. So that happens to be 0. And P12 will be equal to 1. Okay, so this damper can be represented as delta C. Then here is our nominal plant PC, which is nothing but 0, 1, 0.3 C naught and C naught. So this is U, this is Y, this is Z, and this is the exogenous input W. Okay, so in this way we have completed this thing for our damper. Fine. Then we have to see what is the expression for our spring K. First K. So now we need to do it for the spring also. Okay. So ULFT for the spring. Okay. So spring, there was a variation. How much? K naught into 40% variation. 1 plus 0.4 delta K. Okay. Again, you expand this thing. What will you get? K naught plus 0.4 K naught delta K. Okay. So if you compare again with ULFT, what will you get? What is ULFT? P22 plus P21 delta into I minus P11 delta whole inverse P12. Just do a one-to-one comparison. You will see your P22 is K naught, P21 is 0.4 delta naught. So 0.4 K naught, 0.4 K naught. Then P11 is 0 and P12 is equal to 1. Okay, so that means this perturbed spring can be expressed as an LFT, where we have the perturbation block delta K connected to the nominal plant model Pk as like this. P11 is 0, P12 is 1, P21 is 0.4 K naught, and P22 is K naught. This is Y, this is Z, this is U, and this is W. Okay, so we have expressed all the parameter which had perturbations as separate LFTs. Now what next? Instead of this block diagram, we have to put the LFT blocks here. To correspond to mass M, we will put the LFT for mass M here. We will put the LFT for the damper here. We will connect the LFT for the spring in this position. Okay, let us do that. So what will you get? So here is our F of t. No other change. Okay, F of t. This is the summing point. Then this is our mass, nominal mass. Okay, what was that? Minus 0.5, 1 by m naught, minus 0.5, 1 by m naught. Okay, and here was our delta m block, right? So this is connected like this. Okay, no other change. Instead of representing like this, we are just representing mass, the damper, and the spring with their corresponding LFTs. No other change. So output should go to integrators. Okay. Output should go to an integrator. Why it's not coming? So this should be an integrator. It should again go to the next integrator. Okay. So this is x equal to x1. This is x2, which is nothing but x1 dot, and this is x2 dot. Okay. So just for ease, let me mark this thing. So this was Zm. Let me mark this as Zm. Okay. This is Ym. This is Wm, and this is Um. Just for convenience. Okay. For mass. Similarly, for the damper, let this be Zc, Yc, Wc, and Uc. Okay. And finally, for the spring constant K, let this be Zk, Yk, Uk, and Wk. Okay. So what is this? This is Zm. What is this? This is x1 is input Wm to the mass m. Okay. And this is what is this output? Output is nothing but Ym. And this must be the input to the nominal model. That means Um. Okay. Now what next? We have the damper. So minus. Okay. Minus. This is PC. What was that? PC was what? 0, 1, 0.3 C0, C0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0.3 C0, and C0, right? it is coming from X1. Okay, don't forget to mark the perturbation block. This is delta C. Okay. So here, what happens? This is the regulator output, and this is the X1's input. So this signal is ZC. This is WC. This is UC, and this is YC. Okay, this is YC. Fine. And now we have one more block corresponding to the string. Okay, what is this? This signal is X1. Huh? So what is the nominal value? Pk equal to, what is the nominal value? 0.1.4 K0 K0. 0.1.4 K0 K0. Okay, and then there was a perturbation block delta K. Right? So this was our ZK. This was WK. This was YK, and this was UK. Okay. Fine. Now, for ease of convenience, let me remove this delta blocks for the time being. Okay, I am not going to remove the signals. I am just removing the delta blocks just for convenience purpose only. Okay, so that means this becomes something like this. I will draw it on the side. Huh? It becomes something like this. This is f of t, summing point. Here is our, what was that? Summing point. Then we have our PM block, the nominal mass P. Okay, with an input WM and an output ZM. Then it is connected to an integrator. Next integrator. This is X1. This is X2. This is X2 dot. Okay. So what is the signal? This signal was YM, and this signal was UM. Okay. Then here is a negative sign coming from X1. Okay. So that, let it be PC, the nominal damper. Okay. So there is an exogenous input WC, is a regulator output ZC. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm just removing, cutting off, cut off and opening the delta blocks. Okay, you can say something like this. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Anyway, let me complete this thing because for the time being. Delta C, right? So here there has been exogenous input WC and a regulator output ZC, right? Similarly, one more correspond to the spring. This is PK, this is WK, and this is Z. Coming from K. Oh, I forgot to mark. What is the signal at this point? It is UC, and this is YC. This is UK, and this is YK. Okay, so you tell me how many inputs do we have here? How many inputs do we have here? Any idea? There are 4 inputs. Okay, which are the 4 inputs? F of t is the one of the external exogenous input. WM is another exogenous input. WC is yet another exogenous input, and WK is the 4th exogenous input. Okay. So now let us write the state-space equations for this. Okay. So what is ZM? So before that, we will club all the LFT things. Okay, for mass, spring, and damper. Our ZM and YM was what? Minus 0.5 1 by m0 minus 0.5 1 by m0 into WM UM. Then what was our ZK, ZC and YC? ZC and YC was 0, 1, 0.3 C0, C0, 0, 1, 0.3 C naught into what? WC UC. Okay. And for the spring, we had ZK YK equal to what? 0.4 K naught into WK UK. Okay. These much things we have. Okay. So now let us write the state space equation for this. What will you get? What will you get from the state space equation? X1 dot. X1 dot we had already seen. It is nothing but X2 of t. X1 dot is X2 of t. What is X2 dot t? What is X2 dot t? X2 dot t is same as Ym of t. Okay, the output signal, the measured output coming from the mass plot. And what is Ym of t? How will you find that? See from this equation. What is Ym of t? Ym equal to minus 0.5 into Wm plus 1 by m naught into Um. Okay, from this expression. Ym equals minus 0.5 into Wm plus 1 by m naught into Um. So I can write like this. Minus 0.5 Wm plus 1 by m naught Um. Okay, and what is Um? Um is signal at this point. What is that? F of t minus, what is signal at that point? Yk minus Yc. Okay, so I can write this as minus 0.5 omega m plus 1 by m naught into f of t minus Yk minus Yc. Okay, now what is Yk from here? Yk is nothing but 0.4 K naught into Wk plus K naught into Uk. And what is Yc? 0.3 C naught into Wc plus C naught into Uc. Okay, so again, back substituting, what did you get? Plus 1 by m naught into f of t minus 0.4 K naught Wk plus K naught Uk. Okay, minus what? Yc. What is Yc? 0.3 C naught Wc plus C naught into Uc. Okay, so if we simplify this further, you will get minus 0.5 omega m plus f of t by m naught minus 0.4 K naught by m naught into Wk minus K naught Uk by m naught minus 0.3 C naught by m naught Wc minus C naught by m naught Uc. Okay, now what is Uc? Uc is nothing but x2. And what is Uk? Uk is nothing but x1. So rewriting in terms of the state variables, you will get minus 0.5 omega m plus f of t by m naught minus 0.4 K naught by m naught into Wk minus K naught by m naught into, what is Uk? Uk is x1. x1 minus 0.3 C naught by m naught into Wc minus C naught by m naught into Uc. And what is Uc? x2. Okay, so these are the two state equations. Let me write, collect this and write it here once again. X1 dot t equal to x2 of t. That is one state equation. The second one is x2 dot t equals, so equals I can write minus K naught by m naught x1 minus C naught by m naught x2, then minus 0.5 omega m plus f of t by m naught minus 0.4 K naught by m naught into Wc minus 0.3 C naught by m naught into, sorry, when this is Wk and this should be Wc. These are the two state space equations. Okay, these are the two state space equations. Right. Now, what is our aim? Our aim is to bring this into the standard LFT form. What is standard LFT form? You must have a separate block delta. You need to have a nominal plant model, nominal plant PM, like this. This is U, and this is Y, this is Z, and this is W. Okay, we need to represent this form. So now we need to separate out the Z terms here. Okay, how many Z terms do we have? three Z terms, Zm, Zc, and Zk. Okay, so my Z vector comprises three: Zm, Zc, Zk. And my exogenous input vector W comprises three inputs, three signals, which are the Wm, Wc, and Wk. Yeah, so we need to express it in this form. Okay, so we have to first, so keep in mind what the sort of standard expression is, that y equals p11, p12, p21, p22 into what? Into W exogenous input and U. This is W, W and U. Okay, so we will just separate out these terms first. So what is Zm? What is Zm? What is Zm? How will you find? We have this expression. Zm is minus 0.5 Wm plus 1 by m naught Um. So you can see here, these first row and second row is identical. That means Zm and Ym are the same. You can see here, Zm and Ym are one and the same. Okay, from this matrix form, you will see that Zm is minus 0.5 Wm plus 1 by m naught Um. Similarly, Ym is also nothing but minus 0.5 into Wm plus 1 by m naught into Um. Okay, so both are one and the same, right? So I can write Zm as Ym. And what is that? It is nothing but, in terms of U, I will write, so you will get minus 0.5 omega m. So this is this expression. It is this expression, okay? This expression. This expression, right? So minus 0.5 omega m plus f of t by m naught minus 0.4 k naught by m naught into Wk minus k naught by m naught into Uk minus 0.3 c naught by m naught into Wc minus c naught by m naught into Uc. That is Zm. Okay. Now what next? Zc. What is Zc? Zc is nothing but 0 into Wc plus 1 into Uc. That means Zc is equal to Uc. Okay. And what is Uc? See from the figure, what is Uc? Uc is nothing but x2. Okay. So I can write Zc as Uc or x2. And what is Zk? Zk is nothing but 0 into Wk plus 1 into Uk. That means Uk. And what is Uk? Uk is same as x1. Okay. So I can write like this. Zk equal to Uk, which is equal to x1 of k. Right. And what is y? Y is the output from the system, output of the plant. Okay. That is nothing but x1. Okay. Y equal to x1. So now we can arrange this in matrix. Okay. So you see, this is Zm. This is, sorry, no, not Zm. Correct. Zm, then Zc and Zk. Okay. And finally y equal to something into what? Into Wm, Wc, Wk, f of t. These are the four exogenous inputs here, right? What are the inputs? F of t, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have four exogenous inputs, right? So that is why we have written four exogenous inputs. And finally, we have the control input, which is nothing but again vector of three signals. What is our U here? U will be what? Um, Uc, and Uk. Is it not? Our block has four inputs, right? Three control, three measured, three control inputs, right? There are four exogenous inputs and three control inputs. Okay, so Um, UC, and UK. Okay, now we just need to plug in these things. So Zm, what did you get? Correspond to omega m, we have minus 0.5. Omega c, we have minus 0.3 C naught by m naught. Omega k, we have minus 0.4 K naught by m naught. F of t, we have 1 by m naught. Um, we have there is no term. Yeah, there is no term. Okay, so 0. Then UC, we have minus C naught by m naught. Then UK, we have minus K naught by m naught. Okay. Now what is ZC? ZC is nothing but UC. ZC is nothing but UC. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. And what is ZK? ZK is UK. That means 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay. Okay. So ZK is nothing but, okay. So ZK is nothing but x1 of t. That means UK. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Now what is y? Y is also x1. And what is x1? It is nothing but UK. That means I can write this as 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Now, if you compare with our standard form, Z bar, Y bar equals subsystems P11, P12, P21, P22 into what? The external input W and the control input U. Okay. So what is our Z here? Our Z is nothing but these three. Okay. This is our Z. Z bar. What is our Y bar? Y bar is this thing. Y bar. What is the W bar? W bar is these 4 inputs. Okay. W means the exogenous inputs. So there are 3 exogenous inputs correspond to the perturbation in 3 elements: the mass, spring, damper, plus the external input signal, the forcing function f of t. That is clear from here. Okay. F of t is the forcing function. So inclusive of that, we have 4 exogenous inputs. So this is our W bar. And this is nothing but our control signal U bar. So you tell me what is P11? P11 is nothing but Z by W when U is equal to 0. So that means the first 4 rows you have to consider. Okay. First 4 columns you have to consider. So first 4, this thing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So and how many rows we need to first 4 columns, and how many rows we need to consider? The first 3 rows. So this thing. Okay. So this is our P11. This is our P11. This is our P12. This is P21, and this is P22. Okay. So we have separated out the perturbations within the 3 parameters: the mass, the spring, and the damper, and represented in standard form. Okay. Now, if you consider the uncertainty blocks, okay, if you consider the uncertainty blocks coming over here, what was WM? WM was Zm into delta M. What was WC? Delta C into ZC. And what was WK? The delta K into Z. Okay, let me write that. So I can write Zm is delta M into, WM is delta M into Zm. WC is delta C into ZC, and WK is delta K into ZK. Okay, so let me write it in vector form. This is WM, this is WC, this is WK equals something into what? Into Zm, ZC, and ZK. Okay, so what is the term here? Zm, ZC, there is delta M, delta C, and delta K. All other terms will be 0. Okay, so this is our vector W. This is the perturbation block delta, and this is the regulated output Z. Okay, as we see from here, right? As we see from here, W is equal to delta into Z, right? So what will be the, how can we represent this system in LFT form? It is something like this. So here we have our delta block. Okay, delta M, delta C, delta K, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. This is our delta block. Then we have our plant P, the nominal plant P. Okay, what's the nominal plant P? We have just now found here. We just now found here this thing. Okay, so I will write it here. Minus 0.5, minus 0.5, minus 0.3 C naught by M naught, minus 0.4 K naught by M naught, 1 by M naught, 0, minus C naught by M naught, minus K naught by M naught. Then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay, what did I do? I just plugged in this matrix into this block. Okay, this thing into this block. Okay, this is the nominal model. This is Z. This is W. And here we have the control input U, and this is the regulated output, measured output Y. Okay, so in this way, we have represented our system which had perturbations in its parameters as standard LFT form. The perturbation block has been separated out. The nominal plant has been separated out. Okay, so this unknown matrix delta is structured. What do you mean by structure? Because it has only non-zero diagonal elements. All off-diagonal elements are 0. Okay, so this has a particular structure. So this is called structured uncertainty. Okay, that's why it is called structured uncertainty, right? The unknown matrix delta, the unknown matrix delta is structured. Okay, as certain elements are known, as certain elements are known to be 0. Okay, so you see here we along the diagonal elements, we have non-zero elements, and all other elements are 0. So that structure is known. Okay, so this is a structured kind of structured uncertainty kind of thing. Okay, so the unknown matrix delta is structured as certain elements are known to be 0. So although, but keep in mind, delta M, delta C, and delta K, they were real scalars. Okay, so although the uncertainties, delta M, delta C, delta K are real scalars, the perturbation block delta. Okay, so you see in the perturbation block delta, what I see, delta M, delta C, delta K are individually real scalars. Delta M was the variation in the mass. Delta C was the variation in the parameter C, which corresponds to the damper. Delta K is the variation in the spring constant. Okay, so individually they are real scalars, but when you compare it, when you bring it in the block form, you have a block structure. Okay, which is structured uncertainty, right? So what do we do? The perturbation block delta is restricted. Is restricted only by its diagonal structure. Only by its diagonal structure. And infinity no. And infinity no. So that means we will restrict this block, the infinite norm of this block, to be less than or equal to 1. Okay, so now we are considering it in a blockwise, not the individual element wise. We are considering it as a blockwise. We will consider that we will make sure that the infinity norm of this perturbation is less than or equal to 1. Okay, so we'll stop here and continue in the next class. Thank you.